Welcome back. This is TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm staff writer Chelsea Sipple. This is staff publisher Andrew Jones. We're here at Keenan Stadium after Carolina's game, UNC 45, NC Central 10. And AJ, first of our three things was Carolina did not play disciplined at the beginning. They had 16 penalties throughout the whole game, 10 in the first half, and this really did not set them off on the right foot.
No, and it's very warm in here. I know where you are. I think it's warmer than where I am right now. So
I have a little breeze.
No air circulation. That's good. I don't really have any circulation here. Yeah, look, let's be honest. And I know that Mac isn't going to go there with this publicly, but 17-10 going in the fourth quarter against North Carolina Central. I tweeted this out. I'm going to say it again. And that doesn't mean that this team is the same as this past teams, but this is a program, North Carolina Central, that in the last 10 years had played 6 games against power conference teams and had been outscored 323-43. So it's 17-10. This is a club that lost 41-19 at home last week to Elon. They had 11 first downs in that game, and they had 14 in the first half today. Now, some of them were because of penalties, but they're still first downs. So that still speaks to what you just said, undisciplined football. I think it begins with one thing. They're really trying to fix in this program. And today shows us, and to a degree last week shows us, that they're not there yet. That's playing to a standard, their own standard. We talked to Connor Harrell earlier this week, and he said, nameless, faceless opponents. Well, that wasn't the case today. I know that Central did a lot of really nice things for Central, but there's no reason North Carolina should ever be 17-10 with NC Central going into the fourth quarter. It's just, I don't care that there were quarterback issues going back and forth with Jacoby getting the third series and Connor struggling a little bit, that kind of thing. Doesn't matter. It should never have been 17-10. Carolina shouldn't have been flat or dead offensively in the third quarter like they were. They had 2 quarters, they didn't even score against an FCS team. So that's not a good thing. On top of that, 16 penalties. So if you're not playing to that standard, if you haven't yet reached the point, which is a mission, it is a goal and a mission for this program to get to that point. You can't snap your fingers and expect to be there overnight. If you're not going to be in that right mindset, well, voila, you have discipline issues. Pre-snap, Max said after the game, you've not seen them have these kind of pre-snap issues. I asked him about all the penalties, 16, which ties the school record. The last time they had 16 in a game was 1976 against Virginia. It's a long time ago. And Max is like, it defied logic because they didn't have penalty problems earlier. They've been very clean in pre-snap on defense through the first 2 games. They weren't as clean today. Also post-snap with Marcus Allen with the personal foul for the stuff he did. Des Evans, I don't know. I kind of think that one that he had the roughing the passer, they actually called targeting and pulled that off. I'm not even sure it was roughing the passer. I guess it kind of was. I'm still kind of old school about that, Chelsea. You were sitting right next to me, and I'm like, that's a damn football player. You're supposed to tackle him with your face mask, right? Just bolt them. If you knock him out, you knock him out. That's part of the game. So I don't know. Nevertheless, lining up off sides, first play of the game. Twice they had illegal receiver downfield on big pass plays that were called back. They were just not very clean in a lot of areas in the game. And then defensively, they weren't very good at first. Caleb Koss got hit on a explosive play, a 34-yard play that he didn't get hit again. He said he learned something from it. He's still trying to learn and self-correct on the fly. He's not quite there yet. He told us after the game. But when it's 7-0 after one quarter and the opponent is NC Central, they have the ball for half of the first quarter before you ever touch it. It was 7:32 left when Carolina got the ball, when they kicked off again. That's what Carolina did to Minnesota, and North Carolina Central did that to them today. So that's not a good thing. But with all that, they still ended up pulling away and all that kind of stuff. And I do think that there are 2 ways to look at this: 3 quarters of whoa, and then 1 quarter of okay, well, they kind of turned it on. Well, I know this much. The 3 quarters, if I were a coach, I'd focus on a lot more. You're happy about the fourth quarter, you turned it on and all that, but man, tomorrow's film room is not going to be fun for this team because there were so many mistakes made out there, and I think it stems from not coming close to having the right mindset to play to that standard. Had they had that mindset, a lot of that stuff wouldn't have happened. This game would have been over in the first half. And all the walk-ons would have gotten in the game by the end, and that didn't happen. It was too close. It was too close for comfort. And there were a lot of ticked-off people on Twitter. And I thought Twitter was entertaining at times when I had the moment to glance at it. But They rightfully so. This was not a great performance. This is something that this team needs to be a lot better than it was tonight if it's going to do anything of note in the ACC.
Absolutely. And as Mac was calling it, self-inflicted wounds, just making yourself lose the game on your own. Well, moving on to our next thing.
I think of those 16 penalties, I know they have refs every practice, and Mac talked a lot in August about penalties. And I think they thought they were past that. And I thought maybe they were too, because it's a smart team. It's a smart collection of guys. It's an older team that shouldn't make a lot of those mistakes. That's why it goes back. I trace it right back. The origin. What's the origin of an athlete's their mind? If their minds weren't right going into this one, they didn't embrace the standard going into this one, and that's why they had a lot of the trouble that they did.
Absolutely. Well, our next thing, this is Carolina's third game. Carolina's on the third quarterback. Saw Criswell thrown in, had Harrell back and forth. What does this mean with the quarterback situation? Where are we right now?
Nobody knows. And I'll tell you what, I don't know what to make of it. I'm not gonna say things that I don't know that are true, because I think people can sometimes take that the wrong way. But my understanding all along is that Connor was way behind, or Jacoby was way behind Connor. But I think Connor struggled. There wasn't a whole lot that they did with him in Minnesota. He didn't look that great last week. And I think they realized, you know what, we've got to make sure another guy's ready just in case, because they decided to tell this week Jacoby he was going to go in on the third series. They told Connor that too. Max said after the game, look, we need to know that we've got two quarterbacks with a little bit of experience. We get into ACC play. And I think he said that because they don't know if they have a QB1 right now, because Connor hadn't been that great yet. And the last thing they wanted to do was go through this game, and he was struggling early, and then go through JMU next week with more struggles. And suddenly they got ACC play in the last 8 games, got to go to Duke, which has a pretty good defense. And do they start making a move to a fifth-year guy who's been playing catch-up for 3 months? Or do they continue to roll with the guy who's still struggling? So they had to get Jacoby out there because they had to find out what he could do with live bullets. He hadn't had a lot of live bullets in his career. He did play a lot against Ole Miss last year in a game late in the season when KJ Jefferson of Arkansas got hurt, but it was a blowout game. This was a little bit more pressure because the team wasn't playing well, and he had to sort of lift them up. And guess what? 17 points in the second quarter, and then the first 2 touchdowns of the fourth quarter, the first 31 points were scored with Criswell behind center and not Connor Harrell. Connor, Max said, well, I'm glad to see he got a couple of those completions late because he needed that, but he did not play that well. And I think that they're going to have some I would say psychological stuff, because psychology is such a massive part of sports. It's a massive part of life, but certainly in sports when the highs and lows can change in a millisecond. And I think we saw with Connor, QB1, and suddenly Jacoby's out there. Jacoby was better tonight. Jacoby went through his checkdowns better. Jacoby threw tighter balls. He completed several passes to his second and third option. Connor was locking in too much previously on the first option. And I was told one of the reasons that Max was way ahead of Connor or slowly built a separation between himself and Connor in fall camp was because of the checkdowns. So Connor's got a lot to work on. He's not close to a finished product. And guess what? Neither is Jacoby. But I thought Jacoby did some pretty solid things for him tonight. Again, it was against an FCS team that at the time, especially in the fourth quarter, was starting to wilt. And we don't really know what that translates into. They have JMU next week. They're both going to get a lot of snaps. They both have to play a lot. And that will be a better opponent, but this is not a vintage JMU team either. We may not know what this team has at quarterback until we get toward Halloween, to be honest with you. Got to go to Duke. Pitt comes in. Pitt is winning at the end of games every week. Seemingly, they won at the last week against Cincinnati, beat West Virginia today in the last second. So they're going to be confident, and they're beating some solid opponents. And you got Georgia Tech coming in. We know Georgia Tech's good. Then there's the open date. They go to UVA, and I think UVA is better than it has been. So by the time they head to UVA, they better know what they have at quarterback, or that last stretch of the season is going to be real tough for this program.
It's hard to put a timeline on it, but that is, what it will be.
And it's not fair to put a timeline on it. I probably shouldn't do that, but I'm saying from my vantage point, as a journalist who covers a team, I think they should know by then. They may not know all season, and you don't want to know what? They have a head coach who has had a lot of success bouncing back with the hot hand at quarterback, using 2 guys. He did it at North Carolina with Jason Stanisic and Mike Thomas. He did it with Chris Keldorf and Oscar Davenport. He did it at Texas with Chris Sims and Major Applewhite. He knows how to do that. He's a master communicator. If anybody can talk to two quarterbacks, which are completely different mindset positions in the rest of the field, and get them both ready to play and lift them up when they're down and break them down a little bit when they're really up so they have the right even-keeled approach to things, it's a guy like Matt Brown. He's proven he can do it before. Maybe that's the recipe this season. Maybe it's the flavor of the day. 31 flavors, Baskin Robbins, they got 2 flavors here, Connor Harrell and Jacoby Criswell. So they're going to go with whatever you taste for each week. That's the guy.
Like you said, we'll wait and see how it plays out. But AJ, our third thing is the standard for Carolina. And what does this mean? They talked about, meeting their standards, and it has not been that the past games.
Well, I think what this means is they got a really healthy lesson on what that means. You can lose to North Carolina Central if you're not dialed in. Now, they got dialed in. The defense was outstanding in the second half. 2 straight weeks they have a goal line stand. So that was good. They, again, run defense. Central couldn't run dive plays. They couldn't run between the tackles. Nobody has been able to run between tackles against this team. We saw guys, individuals make plays. We saw Travis Shaw on that goal line stand literally blow up 2 plays. And I tweeted out, and I was sitting next to you and Brian, and I said, man, he just ate like 4 North Carolina Central players. Like, ate them. They swallowed whole. They're inside Travis. And everybody else is making plays because of that. Yeah, he was really good for a few of those snaps. So they know that if you start to bow up and take the standard onto the field with you, you're going to be a lot better than if you don't. I know we hit on standard in the first part, but I do think that's important because these games are about lessons. I think the value in these games are more so when you struggle at times, when you are able to pick at a lot of stuff and you win 45-10. I think the final score is misleading in the sense that it was 17-10 in the fourth quarter. And we're like, man, what's happening here? Normally in a game like this, we got a lot of stuff written at that point. We didn't have really anything.
It was so far from our predictions.
We had no idea where it was going. So what this means is this is a football team that's got a lot of nice parts. I think the defense is pretty solid. I think they clearly have a great running back. They've got wide receivers that aren't really being used. They're finding ways. They're trying to be creative to get the ball in Nate McCollum's hands. They've got to, at some point, find a quarterback, either one of them, that can get those receivers the ball, get Bryson Nesbitt the ball at tight end. John Copenhaver had 6 receptions in the second half tonight, career high for him. They've got to be able to push the ball down the field and combine that with the running. They've got to utilize what they have, and I think we saw tonight that they're a long way from being close to what they can be because they didn't move the ball great against Minnesota. They had 254 yards or whatever it was. They weren't last week. Charlotte's not very good. They weren't as potent as you would think North Carolina should be, and they weren't tonight. I know they ended up with 500 yards and 45 points, but a lot of that was in the fourth quarter, and a lot of that was a team that traveled like 60 guys. We were trying to count the guys on their sideline. They're like 55 or 60 guys in uniform, basically. They wore down, and they're not as talented. So this club got a long way to go. But they're 3-0, and they now saw Jacoby in a game, and Jacoby's going to sleep well tonight. He's got to feel pretty good about himself.
That's true.
He finally got an opportunity in year 5. He did some good things. They won the game, and they're going to go to work tomorrow at practice, put this game away, and it's going to be competition during the week. I was told that Connor was way ahead, but I think part of it is Connor's struggles, and the other part of it is, you know what? Let's just see what this kid can do. And he's lost weight. He admitted he's lost 15 pounds.
Yeah.
When we saw you were at the first practice with me, and I told you, I said, boy, Jacoby looks like
bigger,
a little bit thick. In some areas maybe don't need to be thick, and he was. And he was very open tonight about it. In fact, you should go to our YouTube channel and watch the interview with him because he was very open. Said he's lost 15 pounds. He's down. What did he say? 228? Is that what he said?
Yeah, 228.
And I asked him if he's got any more to go, and he kind of him and on. I think he's probably got a few more to go. Not many, but a few more to go. So what this means is they're 3-0. They've done some nice things on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think people are concerned about that. You know, Omarian's great. The offensive line has been so much better than what people feared it might be. I think the elephant in the room is quarterback.
Yeah.
Chelsea, it's quarterback. They got to figure out what they have. And if they could get above average play consistently, this team will win a lot of games. But they haven't really gotten above average play consistently yet, and they need that.
Absolutely. Well, I don't think we'll have a definite quarterback next week, but we'll see how it plays out against JMU, if there's any, what they clean up for that game. And to the viewers,
Absolutely.
after the JMU game, we'll have another 3 things, so you'll hear about that. But thank you,
Absolutely.
AJ. Make sure y'all subscribe to TarHeelIllustrated.com for all exclusive Carolina content. And we'll be back next week.